being here.
How many are there?
Not counting the people that are in the hall, there was over 90.
If your social security number ends in 0, you go.
That's me.
So we are under some legal constraints in terms of the timing of the action, as well as obviously the fire codes as well. I'm open to suggestions from the commission. Can you go to the library?
Can't go to the library.
And just you know, we did look into hosting this meeting this evening at the library, but it was not available to us.
So you have to continue
That is something.
Yeah, we can't.
Is it, I'm sorry, is it 83?
83 in this room.
The only other thing I can think of is some way to make it so that there's another room here that everybody who goes there can hear what's being said. I don't think
What's that? That's an office room, so there's only like, that only allows like 3 or 4 people. No, but for code, because of the calculation, it's not an assembly, it's an office space. Or the hallway back there, because that goes to the outside, right?
Yes.
So you can put some people in there.
Mr. Chairman, I will set up 3 chairs in the other room.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to add some chairs into this room next door, which has its own exit as well, which will satisfy the fire marshal. The attorney here has indicated that as those in the room can hear the proceedings and
Yeah, I guess it probably makes sense if anybody's gonna speak, that they come over there so that everybody in this room and in those places can all hear it at the same time.
Or we can swap out people.
and so we'll ask people when they are speaking to come over here to so that all can.
I know where it went. When you trust him. He's a big deal. You want to go?
While they're breaking, I want the.
Tolerance.
Okay, so there are 10 seats in the other room, please.
It's not that many people in the hallway.
Are we on recess right now, or are we? I'm still recording, I just didn't want to.
No, it's just the turmoil.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to ask because I'll just stop it.
So if some of you who are sitting in this room could please move into that other hallway so that we can continue this matter, please.
You want the people in the hallway to come in?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we need fewer people in this room.
This is unacceptable. This is not a way to run a meeting. Everybody should be in one room. I think this should be adjourned and
Yes.
another day. This is ridiculous.
I'll make the motion when you adjourn.
I make a motion.
This is what's available to us, right?
This is
Order, please.
Do you represent us? No.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Conduct of this hearing
Oh, Michael.
needs to be an orderly hearing, please. We need to lower the number of individuals in this room, and we are inviting you to this room where you can hear the hearing and participate in the hearing as fully as you can in this room.
You tried to prepare yourself earlier by being
Sir.
at the library, right? So that's something we
Sir.
should do for the next time.
Excuse me, you have a motion on the table.
No, we do not. I'm sorry. We do have a motion on the table. A motion was made by Mr. Krobel to adjourn. Is there, until other availability is possible. Is there a second on that motion? Hearing none, the motion is not.
I don't need to.
Do we need wristbands?
Can I go in there? Can I go in there?
No, you guys can't go in there. You have to stay for the hearing. I don't go in there, I'm just advisory staff.
We have 6 people who have come in, we get 4 or 5 more, please. That will relieve the burden.
We need to have them in here. We need one here.
I will make my proposal.
Yes.
Okay, we will resume the hearing, if you could. Ma'am? 4 more minutes.
Kelly Clark, 315 Quadtown Farm Road. Again, 2 lots away from this proposed mining issue. So you dug several test wells for water level. What tests were run on that water as far as protozoan that are going to be dispersed when you disrupt this land and property? Leptospirosis, Giardia. Those are land and water protozoan. They are also zoonotic from several different types of wildlife to humans, just so everybody's aware, for being devoid of technical knowledge. Sorry. Also, I was unable to get legal notification from my son's medical records for his asthma and dust allergies. However, I did do my own research that I didn't find was totally viable on how Mr. Buckner, I believe is your name, I'm sorry. Buckner, sorry. You say that chemical that they use, the sodium chloride,
I didn't say anything. Address your comments to the chairperson, please.
the sodium chloride might be approved, but it's not necessarily safe, correct? So if that's not safe, Why should that be being used? Why can't just that water be tested appropriately to be used to control the dust versus adding more chemical into the air, into the population and the concurring environment? So I know that that was part of their original plans, they were going to use the water and chemical. Why can't they just use the sustaining water and have it tested and monitored appropriately so that we can all be, safe and healthy and not kill much kid? Is that something that can be answered today? Was there a test done on the water?
We can have them, we can have them. Or you could have more people speak in your time.
I've got
Point of order, Mr.
Ma'am.
Chairman, we can't hear you. If you have a mic,
I apologize,
thank you.
ma'am.
Also understand.
I'm sorry, just a minute, I've recognized this.
Jennifer Burlingame, 480 Aquatic Town Farm Road. Does anybody that sit on the committee know, I know it's 110,000 cubic yards. Can anybody tell me what type of dump truck they're using to remove that? And does anybody know right now how many trips that is? Can you tell me? I'm just curious. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's what I want to know, that's it.
How many?
I'm gonna recognize this woman and you after her.
Okay.
I'm confused, it seems like we're going in and out of the 15-minute period. Are we in new news or are we in existing right now?
This is in the 15 minutes from the,
From sorry?
from the further comments, yes.
Well, I thought we were gonna have new comments, citizen comments regarding the same, is that true?
Regarding this, if you have a comment regarding this application.
Okay, I thought you said at the beginning we were gonna have 15 minutes of old and then it was gonna get opened back up to citizens' comments after, for new.
Yeah, after the
regarding this
commission
permit.
gets to ask questions, then any new information that comes from that in the public.
So if I have a comment.
So you might have some questions about what the commissioners asked, but if you have a comment, now would be the time to.
Okay, so Nadine Bell Williams Edwards, 131 Spicer, and my comment goes back to the special permit, actually, because my question to the commission is, how did the special permit get to the point that it's at? Because according to the Article 7, Section 2, Item F, it says that the project needs to be in harmony with the neighborhood. And the applicant and/or its representative has said that it's a temporary in nature, and I'd like the commission to direct me to where in the regulations it says that that's criteria has been met, because it's temporary in use. And further, the applicant and/or its representative has been able, and continuously sends out Canterbury, talks about New Road and what have you, and in documented response is saying that the criteria is met because the next permit's gonna put it back in harmony. We are talking about PZC application number 1907, and the applicant and/or its representative has had the liberty throughout this whole hearing, in every session, to talk about everything. And the citizens have been kept into this teeny box. You have not allowed the citizens, this commission, to talk about anything, the past behavior, and that's unfortunate, and it's highly, it's unacceptable. Because the playing field isn't level. The applicant has been able to make its case using all of those components, but the citizens have been muffled. I'd like you to explain to me how the application got this far. How can PZ 1907 for gravel mining ever made a special permit? Because it's out of harmony on day one, not 2 years, it's out of harmony on day one. I'd like to understand that. And I don't want you to shake your head, I want an answer from the commission. How can I please get an answer?
Yes, I mean, we can answer you now in your time, or as the commission is discussing, we can answer at that time, and if you're unsatisfied with our answer, you could ask in that period afterwards.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait till you talk, and then, is that
No,
what's
you
gonna
got
happen?
more minutes, so sit down so we
We
can
wanna
talk.
go as
Okay.
fast as we can, because we're so limited on
So the 15 minutes has expired. I did say that I would recognize you,
Okay.
sir, so I do want to recognize you.
So here we go again.
You pass that around for me?
Go again.
safety side on the roads. I know I'm not an expert, and I know I don't qualify, but 5 of us can read a tape measure, so I think we qualify for that. You guys got kind of a copy of this? Dump trucks, triaxles, we're not even talking about their big ones. Mirror to mirror is 11 feet to pass each other, okay? If you look at D, if you go from the yellow line to the side of the road, it's 9 feet 7 inches. 2 regular trucks can barely pass each other. Let's go to E, which is right across from Miss Nelson's driveway. We have 9 feet 11 inches, and then in the corner, unless they're going on the stone wall, they have 8 feet 7 inches. We'll go a little further down, we'll go off of pole, I was hard to read. A lot of the telephone poles weren't on these plans either, so this is kind of all done measuring, 3 days in a row. Pole number 394 is, south side is 9 feet 7 inches. I said south because I figured the way the road goes, but I think it's actually northwest on most of the plans. But my south is from Spicer Road to Aquatic State Park. North is from Aquatic State Park to Spicer Road, okay? We have pole 93, 9 feet 7 inches again. On the same side, across the other side of the street, we got 9 feet 6 inches. So realistically, there's no way 2 trucks are passing at that point. Pole 944, same thing, 9 feet 11 inches. Opposite side of the street, 9 feet 10 inches. We went up the street a little further in the tight corner, which is, these are all in corners pretty much too. If you go to I, which is, we counted up, it was like the 37th guardrail on the right-hand side, which would be the south side. We have 9 foot 9. Go a little further up the road, make it past this turn. We get to the last telephone pole, which again isn't on their map. 945, we have 9 feet 7 inches. Now it stops there. If you go further on Mr. Rice's property, I mean, there's more 9s, there's more. And I mean, I have a video following one of these trucks Friday. He came into this corner, he was completely on this side of the road to take that turn, and that was only a triaxle. So if somebody's coming around, there's bikes, I mean, we were measuring, we almost got killed by bicyclists, because they fly down that road. I mean, they should have never, from the beginning of any of the projects, nobody's done a study, not on you guys have been very patient, we appreciate it. They should have never been able to go that way to begin with, because they're running bigger than triaxles, 18-wheelers. And there's no way in hell they can manipulate these turns. So this is safety. This is on you guys. So when the accident happens,
We're suing you.
we're not suing them.
Order.
But, you know what I'm saying.
Sorry.
But that's it.
We're ready.
I mean, this is simple math. As you see, I've got a whole list. I spent Saturday, Sunday, and I went out there again today just to double check everything. And this is what you're looking
How
at.
fast were they going?
Can we
Which,
just have order, please?
yeah,
Thank you.
all right? So this is
Leave
more
that
to
map
protect
with them.
us, the citizens, the taxpayers,
Robert.
which if you look at everybody, you got probably $2 million in taxes right here.
Robert,
That's all.
leave that with them, they need that.
They got copies. Would you
They
like
don't
this?
have it with the exact
You?
locations.
That for yourself.
Nah, I do.
Submit that.
Go first.
You want that? You don't need to. It's up to you.
They're gonna send out surveys to
Okay,
I'm sorry, my paper looks like a 3-year-old, but I want my email on it.
so at this point, we're going to turn to the commission to ask any questions, to make any comments, after which we will invite public comment on anything new that has arisen. Mr. Santos.
First, I wanted to share some general thoughts on this topic. Food for thought, not just for the commission, for the public, but it's really for the room. First, I just want to say thank you to Cindy for keeping all this organized. It's been a whirlwind of information. I also wanted to applaud the public for your dedication to this topic and your commitment to your neighborhood and to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Secondly, I wanted you to know that I've reread all the PowerPoint slides and our zoning laws and regulations. I want to respectfully remind all of you that we as a commission are obligated to follow the black and white regulations within the zoning laws that are set forth at this moment. I also want to remind the community that gravel banks, earth removal, earth processing is an allowed process within the town of Thompson Planning and Zoning if a special permit and site plan review is reviewed and that criteria is set forth in the below. So I took some very specific things, you were mentioning them a little earlier. The proposed use is in harmony with the zoning regulation and current plans adopted by the commission. My answer, I believe that we are actively investigating this now with this overall process and will continue to doing that. The proposed use will not adversely affect the health and safety of the residents or workers in this area. To your earlier point, trailer loads, current cubic yardage, numbers of hauling that have been discussed totaling 110,000 cubic yards, an average tractor trailer, I believe that's what we were talking about previously, for talking purposes, is about 30 total cubic yards. That is a little heavy, just for the record. So that totals about 3,666 truckloads of materials being shipped off-site. I believe it was noted somewhere that this is a 2-year project. There is roughly 260 workdays per year, so that's 520 workdays roughly. So that's roughly 7 trucks leaving the job site every day for 2 years, or roughly 1 truck every hour for 2 years. Please note that this is just hauling off-site. This does not incorporate any import of new materials or for the truck to even show up to the job site. This does not incorporate the new materials bringing desired to the new grades. I'm not sure how much import there was. That was not indicated or clarified by Strategic Commercial Realty until tonight. So Helen noted 25,000 cubic yards of material being imported. Just making a general note of that right now. The proposed use will not adversely affect the reasonable use of development of properties in the general neighborhood. My answer, I'm not a real estate professional, but if this was my neighborhood, I'd be concerned with what the final quote-unquote visual outcome of the land would be after this is completed. With this said, let's break it down into 2 groups, on-site regulations and visual off-site ramifications. On-site regulations, the gravel operations are acceptable as several items are completed, in particular letter O in our regulations. All debris not incorporated into the improvement of the lot shall be removed from the lot, and loose boulders not incorporated into the improvement of the lot shall be buried or removed from the lot. Completed area shall be covered with 8 inches of subsoil and a minimum of 4 inches of loam topsoil, depending on the arid nature of the site, as is closed excavation. Area shall be seeded with suitable perennial grass mixture and maintained until the area is stabilized. The commission may require planting of other vegetation. As a side comment, there was some discussion about silt as backfill. I'm not sure if silt is utilized during the lower level backfilling operations, but regardless, I will be back to this topic in a few minutes with my suggestion for an excavation plan, which Mr. Hell started to talk about tonight as well. As far as visual off-site ramifications, one would believe that hauling 110,000 cubic yards of material would be visually unavoidable. The streets serving the proposed use shall be adequate to safely carry the vehicular traffic generated by proposed activity without reduction of street capacities. My answer, I am not convinced based on the above calculation that the street capacities would not be reduced, or possibly more importantly, generally safe for travelers, cyclists, pedestrians, etc. Safety could be our largest danger considering the narrow and winding roads in this area. With this said, I also want to remind the public that there are no laws against the trucks being utilized on these roads either, from what I have read, and someone can correct me if I am wrong. No safety hazards such as reduced sight distances or hazardous street or driveway connections would be imposed. My answer is, as I noted a moment ago, I'm concerned about our streets and our street safety. I'm not sure if driveway connections or sight distances would be impacted. F, the proposed use in harmony with the neighborhood established character and development patterns. Answer, honestly, outside the 2-dimensional plans that have been provided by Provis and Rivero, which does not provide a good graphical or visual answer to this question, I'm not sure what the full future plan is for this property. I believe I heard it was to be a grassy field. There was some new plans developed tonight. In general, all of the above will be reviewed during our next steps of the application process. I did have some questions for Mr. Held, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Held, I just had some general questions for you. I see delineation lines for phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 had several test pits done.
Yes.
But phase 1 does not. Can you answer why not?
So phase 1, there's one test pit that was excavated here.
Yep.
Also now with our monitoring wells installed, they're basically installed in a test pit.
Okay.
So additional test pits were done here and here. Also, in phase 1, you see there's a natural depression right here.
Yep.
That's at elevation 428. So we're proposing to excavate at our lowest point here to 426.
Okay.
So this hole right here is probably the deepest we've gotten anywhere, and it's
Yeah.
naturally occurring, and there's no evidence of water or
Okay.
any unsuitable conditions there.
Okay. All right, I see existing grading lines and new grading lines. Just with the new set tonight, I asked, can a specific excavation plan be developed? I had developed these notes before you gave these tonight, so you're clearly working on that. I would like to see some sort, if we further this process, that indicates a full mining operation with test pits, logs, geotechnical results, and have that provided to the commission for our further review later on. Another question I had was, please explain the subsurface water heights as you know them today. You clearly went into that a little bit tonight. Another question I had, though my understanding sediment basins are not required should excavation plan warrant one. I would like to see them indicated on the plan clearly with this new plan. You're saying that that low point is pretty much your sedimentation area, is that correct?
Right, just for purposes of scale, this thing at the low point is gonna be 8 feet deep, or it could bust or it won't blow anything.
Okay, thanks. There is a paved and curbed equipment pad indicated on the plans, parking and fueling pad. There's no fuel storage on site, correct?
Correct.
That-
Everything is fueled with a truck that comes in from off-site.
And there's no crusher or screening equipment being utilized, is there?
Correct, there's no processing proposed.
And has our commission, this is posed to the commission, I'm sorry, Joe, for rambling on here. As far as bonding goes, are we evaluating bonding later on? Is that like the new, is that new, or is that 2007?
It's under our current regulations.
It's under the current regs?
Just so you understand the bonding also, the town still requires a cash bond, there's still no provision for a performance bond. So the lot should be provided with a check or cash.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Anyone else from the commission have a comment or questions? Mr. Frogel?
Yes, I've been thinking about this also, and I think that as long as all the i's are dotted and all the t's are crossed, we have to go by what the regulations are. That said, I mean, if they meet all the regulations and all the requirements, by law, we cannot stop them. There are some safety issues that I also fear about, and one of them is Aquatic Town Farm Road. Everyone's saying, well, they're going to go with Aquatic Town Farm. That is the shortest way, but Spicer Road is wider. East Thompson Road is not that bad a condition, and after that, you're on state highway. Let them worry about it. You know, I hate to say it that way, but, I mean, after that is beyond our control. You know,
Excuse me, quiet please, quiet please.
I'm not sure of the number of trucks that will be going through there daily. I have come across some myself with the school bus. It's a little hairy now and then, but overall, the trucks have not been going that bad, you know. But I still think as long as it meets all the requirements and we can take care of the road issue, there's not much more to be said. Oh, I'm sorry, I do have one. Health issues. If there are health issues, I don't know how to regulate that. I don't know if there can be some kind of follow-up on it later on or something, because if it is affecting someone's health, I think that is certainly something that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Cody. Mr. Rice, did you have something?
No, I was just gonna comment on his, about the road. Thought the individuals here, Rawson Materials indicated they're not gonna go on Spicer Road. And I think most of the people here live on Spicer. But if the next
You don't wanna go down Spicer, cause then they're gonna go by your house.
Thank you. Order, quiet, please, quiet.
As far as the safety, you know, they mentioned by Mrs. Nelson, the corner, I think if you coming down, there's a clear view of that whole corner. I know I've gone several times when I see a vehicle, even a car coming, that I slow down and go around that corner. And I think the trucks will be coming right out of that area, so they're not gonna be doing 30 miles an hour. Coming out of that area.
Quiet, please, quiet.
Especially the first few turns, so in addition to that, I don't know unless somebody has an answer here, is that how many accidents there were. Rawson has been traveling that road for several years, and I'm not aware of the amount of accidents that there were. I'm saying several, but I didn't see it was presented. I would think that in all the presentations that we had, safety would have been an issue, and they would have had the stats about the amount of accidents caused by Rawson on those roads.
Any other questions? Yeah, Mr. Rice?
It's just that, some individual, when a gentleman here indicated about the decibels for the sound, it is in our regulations, if you wanted to go online and look it up.
Thank you. Mr.
I
Kermit?
have one more thing to say. Along with Brian stating it, even in this case, if we wanted them to go down Spicer Road or East Thompson Road, you know, there's still no regulation or law stopping Rawson from going down Quiet Town Farm Road for any other project that they want. So I just want people to realize that also. We are not, you know, road police in the sense that we can tell trucks where to go, except for a specific project or request it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, you promised me that I could have a question at some point.
Yes, I just want to make sure that all the
Okay.
commissioners, and then we'll return to the,
Thank you.
board. Thank you. Thank you, yeah, I'd like to echo sort of, what several of the commissioners have mentioned, right, that we do have, 6 specific criteria for approval in our regulations. And, that'll be important for us to consider as we're making a decision. And I know the question came up, how could we, how has this application even come before us? But that's exactly the process that we undertake, right, is to evaluate the application on its merits as it is presented to us. That is the process under our regulations. Anything else from any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
I thank you guys for all coming out and sharing your concerns, and I think us as a commission, seeing it's very important to the townspeople that we have conditions, we follow those conditions, we send Cindy out to pay attention to what's going on. I know Reardon Road, there was a group that came in when that whole project started. They were very concerned, they voiced their concerns, they worked well with them, they know when they're blasting, they know the decibels of blasting, it's all put down on there. We haven't had any complaints since they've been doing all of that. They go to the people's house and see their foundations, and so I guess as a commission, I'm new to this, but I would think that if we do our due diligence and follow through with the things that we say we're gonna do and make sure we do them. If they say we want 23 trees and we go and there's 22, we want 23. If we say don't do this and they're doing it, then we need to act on that. And so to make whatever has happened in the past is the past, and this is a new day. We just start and make sure we follow through with that. And if you see anything, then you bring it to the attention of the ZEO. She can go out there. They can shut down an operation just as quick as they start it. And so I just think that we need to do our due diligence and make sure that we're following through with that. Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Any other questions or comments? And now, yes, any new comments or questions to me?
Go first?
Yep. All right, so.
Just again, repeat your name again.
Yes, Nadine L. Williams Edwards.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to, I'd like to understand, so when Mr. Santos went through the criteria for the special permit, I know you touched on Harmony as A. I didn't hear you address it as F. So I want to go back to F. And before I do, I go back to the question, because I don't understand the process. And I'm gonna tell you, you've got some really smart people that are paying attention now. We really, you know, we may not be experts at this, but we're smart. And we're gonna pay attention to what's going on here. So does a special permit require any criteria to get to the special permit? Is it one inclusive of the same? Is there an acceptance of this commission that the criteria is even in the ballpark, that it's gonna be considered?
The public hearing is to determine
Okay.
if the application meets the criteria.
Okay, perfect, okay. So back to the proposed harmony with the neighborhood, I don't, if I missed it, I apologize, but I know that you addressed it, Mr. Santos, in A. You started talking about the proposed harmony in the zoning regulations, and the applicant and/or its representative did say that by default, because this was accepted, that by default it meets it. So my question is, where does the value come in some of these? Because if these are not applicable and they don't apply because of other things, how does it get any teeth to have any kind of traction in the commission, okay? So when I go back, I'm gonna go back, because I don't think this question was answered, how could it even be acceptable in the applicant's and/or representative's response to how they met the criteria, unless that's still under review, that a temporary in nature, a project that's temporary, fit the criteria for being in harmony with the neighborhood? Clear, and reference a future project, because again, the permit is for gravel mining. It's not for something they're gonna do with the next time. Okay, so that's my point, okay? I'm asking the commission to really look at those requirements, because you wrote them and they've been accepted. And we're just asking you to stand by them, really, okay? And lastly, I'd like to say that obviously your citizens have spoken here, okay? With earnest credibility. We are determined to preserve our neighborhood, its unique and rural character, as we say that we are, okay? That's what we say we are, okay? And I'm gonna ask, and we all ask, that you mindfully take all the contributing factors into consideration, because I've read the letter from the applicant and/or its representative, and it's basically saying if they meet the criteria, it's evidence that there's no other questions to you folks. However, if you look at Article 7, Section 3, it says preliminary discussions cannot be viewed as binding, okay? It isn't in the bag, okay? This needs to be discussed in its uniqueness to that piece of property, why would we even have a public hearing if the citizens' comment wasn't of any value, okay? Further, we ask that your decision is made in fairness to your fellow citizens and to the taxpayers. The residents around the 363 Quadic neighborhood are asking the P&Z Commission to adhere to the spirit of the green and growing community. We want to be part of that. We don't want to be that little secret in the back corner, okay? We don't want to be only gravel mine. We want to be green and growing, okay? And that we're part of the with respect to the town's published commitment to land and water conservation. You know, when the rubber meets the road, what are we really, okay? We want to be with you. We can help you. You've got some smart people here, okay? Know that. And these people work really hard for their money. And lastly, I want to say that, that you just really do the right thing. Because this residential neighborhood is our retirement.